This project is an independent investigative documentary by the interns at Irteqaa about behind the scenes of being Foodpanda riders. It looks deeply into the economic constraints of being Foodpanda riders, with pay rates, petrol prices, incentives, inflation, maintenance of their vehicle, and financial insecurity. This project looks at economic exploitation of Foodpanda riders with the advantage of no proper gig laws present in Pakistan. It examines whether the earnings of Foodpanda riders are enough to cover their daily expenses, the rising petrol prices, and changes in payment structures. Apart from the monetary and economic aspect of this project, it also aims to look at the physical constraints that riders suffer from working long hours under extreme traffic and weather conditions, with road safety hazards, with exhaustion and financial insecurity, and with the overall burden of delivering food all day long. Furthermore, our project aims to look at the pressures riders suffer from to complete orders quickly, customer interactions, financial anxiety, uncertainty of income, job insecurity, and the overall psychological burden of delivering food all day long.
An estimated 50,000 Foodpanda riders work nationwide in Pakistan, easily recognized by their iconic pink uniform. These riders deliver food from restaurants to the comfort of your home. Foodpanda has solved major accessibility issues by making it easier for consumers to receive their orders from the restaurant. With over 20,000 restaurants, home chefs, and Panda Marts partnering with the app, working for Foodpanda sounds nothing short of a dream. With commission-based earnings, flexible hours, and picking orders based on preference, the number of Foodpanda riders has exponentially increased since the app started.
However, surprise, surprise, Foodpanda faces persistent allegations of labor abuse. The gross daily earnings might look good on paper, but Foodpanda riders have to pay many costs such as petrol costs, maintenance costs, and internet packages out of their own pockets. So now a rider who earns 3,500 rupees daily has a large fraction of it cut off going to these costs. Not to make matters worse, but rising petrol costs have forced Foodpanda riders to work long hours for less money, and not to mention the income stability of this profession, as income depends on different days such as days of in Ramadan or different seasons.
Soaring petrol prices in Pakistan have severely reduced the daily earnings of Foodpanda riders, turning app-based driving into a cycle of underpayment. According to a Reuters report, record high fuel hikes force riders to work significantly longer shifts just to cover their basic expenses, causing their true monthly take-home pay to drop to a mere 20 to 30,000 rupees. Despite these crushing operational expenses, Foodpanda fails to protect its workforce by offering no fuel subsidies, no guaranteed minimum wage, and inadequate compensation for distance traveled or cancelled orders. A report by the Business and Human Rights Resource Center confirms that digital platforms in Pakistan fail to provide meaningful health or financial safeguards for riders, leaving them to absorb all vehicle and fuel costs entirely out of pocket. Because the platform treats riders as independent contractors rather than formal employees, it avoids taking care of their basic labor rights. They receive no standard labor protections such as guaranteed minimum wage, paid leave, sick leave, health insurance, pensions, or compensation for injuries on the job, leaving under 50,000 delivery workers trapped under unfair algorithmic penalties and severe financial exploitation.
Why is it so common to see delivery riders getting into accidents? Well, of course, reckless driving. But are Foodpanda delivery riders the only one left to blame? Foodpanda works on an automated algorithm where they keep track of order deliveries, performance scores, fines, and sudden account suspensions. A study published by Nature in March of 2026 reveals that such strict control over riders while they're delivering food causes high stress situations and harms their mental health, which leads to dangerous drivings. So are Foodpanda riders the only one to blame? The intense app-based delivery work inflicts a severe physical and mental strain on the riders. On a physical level, a Journal of Medical Sciences and Physical Therapy analyzed 180 Foodpanda and Cheetah riders in Lahore, with a staggering 83% of these riders suffer from chronic back pain, and the other amounts developing severe physical disabilities due to the grueling nature of the job and long delivery hours.
Our method of research has been the use of surveys and interviews. For this project, we reached out to restaurants, Foodpanda HR, Foodpanda riders, customers who use Foodpanda, and experts like economists and psychologists to ask for their opinion on the matter.
Here to uncover the reality behind the viral videos dominating social media. Our team went on an extensive journey across Lahore to collect data through surveys and conducted on-ground interviews with delivery riders to figure out exactly how Foodpanda actually treats their riders.
Our first stop was Foodpanda Heroes Hub in Lahore, Gulberg, where we talked with riders and discussed the issues we faced. This was also one of the biggest hurdles of our investigation because it was hard to stop riders in the middle of their work for interviews. Hence, after many failed attempts, we landed at Foodpanda Heroes Hub where riders were in the middle of their break. Many of them were reluctant to agree to give an interview, fearing for their jobs, and most of them outside this office were on their first day of the job. So here we spoke to many riders about the expectations and the hurdles they were experiencing and talked to some more seasoned riders as well. However, the few we spoke to didn't give us any permission to record them talking. Hence, in this documentary, we only recorded and put up footage of riders that approved us to do so in order to respect their privacy. Furthermore, we used our survey data to analyze the riders' financial realities. This metric allowed us to measure the exact frequency and severity of the mistreatment they experienced from both restaurants and customers. अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम है आयशा और आज मैं एक फूड पांडा राइडर को इंटरव्यू करने वाली हूँ ये जानने के लिए कि वो एक दिन में कितने पैसे कमाते हैं। तो सबसे पहले आपका नाम क्या और आपकी उम्र क्या है?
मेरा नाम इब्रार है, मेरी उम्र जो है 23 है।
मेरा नाम हुमैरा है, उम्र मेरी 23 है।
आप कितने सालों से कितने अर्से से फूड पांडा की डिलीवरीज करते आ रहे हैं?
अभी तो मुझे 2 मंथ हुए हैं, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छा जो उनसे प्रोसीजर है ये।
तकरीबन 1 साल हो गया।
अच्छा, तो आप एक दिन में कितने पैसे कमा लेते हैं डिलीवरी से?
एक दिन में बेसिकली तकरीबन 2000-2500 तो आम है अगर आप 10 घंटे या 12 घंटे चलाते हैं राइड।
3 से 4 हज़ार।
अच्छा, तो और आपकी मंथली जो है आप कितने पैसे कमाते हैं महीना?
अभी तो मुझे आपको कहा है कि 2 मंथ हुए हैं, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छा जो इंसान है। पिछला मंथ लगा था, अब ये दूसरा मंथ चल रहा है, तो पिछले मंथ तकरीबन 70-80 हज़ार रुपये निकाल लिया था।
इन पैसों में से कितना आपकी स्कूटी की मेंटेनेंस, पेट्रोल और बाकी चीज़ों पे खर्च होता है?
30 से 35 हज़ार मंथली।
पेट्रोल का खर्चा देखें, जैसे आप काम करते हैं तो वैसे ही आपकी पेट्रोल की एवरेज निकलती है। ठीक है, बेसिकली डेली का जो उनसे पेट्रोल 500 का या 600 रुपये का लग जाता है, तो जिसमें से 2500-3000 रुपया आप कमा सकते हैं।
क्या आपको लगता है कि 15,000 रुपये में आपके सारे घर का खर्चा और बाकी सब कुछ उठ जाता है?
ये इसमें से तकरीबन ये 15,000 नहीं हमें बचता। अगर हम इसका 20,000 रुपये देते हैं ना, हम मतलब कि लाख प्लस निकाल रहे हैं महीने का। तो अगर हम स्कूटी की बात करें, अगर हम 20,000 रुपये इसका देते हैं ना, 1,20,000 मैं निकाल रही हूँ, तो तकरीबन मुझे लाख पीछे बच जाता है मंथली। जी।
तो क्या फूड पांडा ये खर्चा उठाता है पेट्रोल का या मेंटेनेंस का, बाइक का, या वो आपको सारा खुद ही करना पड़ता है अपनी कमाई से?
नहीं, ये इसमें होती हैं राइडें करनी होती हैं। ऑर्डर आप जितने ज़्यादा करेंगे उतना आपको बोनस भी देगी फूड पांडा। ठीक है, वो बोनस में क्लियर हो जाता है, कुछ टिप वगैरह मिल जाती हैं, तो इसमें पूरा हो जाता है पेट्रोल।
All of the riders who attempted our survey are from Pakistan, mainly from cities like Lahore, Islamabad and Karachi. 94.7% of riders who attempted this survey are male and about 57.9% of them are between the ages of 25 to 35. 17 riders out of the 19 say that they only do Foodpanda, and about 94.7% of these riders work full-time with Foodpanda. While most of them are married, their education level is also either till a bachelor's degree or metric or FSc. 57.9% of riders work more than 12 hours every single day, while 47.4% of riders have been working for more than a year with Foodpanda. 89.5% of riders say that their family income is above 30,000, while 68.4% of riders earn 30,000 or more every single month from Foodpanda alone. When asked if they're satisfied with their income, they had very mixed reactions. A staggering 100% of riders believe that Foodpanda must immediately increase the payment and should have rest stations and waiting areas specifically for Foodpanda riders outside of restaurants. 57.9% of riders have been scammed by customers on Foodpanda, while 63.2% of riders say that they've encountered snatching while delivering food. About 42.1% of riders say that they frequently face negative reactions from customers. About 68.4% of riders agree that frequently restaurant delays orders that ends up making them late and getting penalized by the app. About 66.7% of riders say that they have frequently seen rude behavior from restaurants and their owners. When asked Foodpanda riders in their opinion what else should restaurants and do for food delivery riders, most of them said that they should not misbehave, give them respect, have waiting areas and rest stations for these riders, and prepare the order quickly so that they don't end up getting penalized. Through our survey, we found out that 68.4% of riders said that it is very frequent to see or hear other riders getting into road accidents. One obvious theory behind this staggering number is the extreme time constraints forced upon them to deliver food from restaurant to the customer. Driven by the constant fear of account suspensions, these riders are forced to rush blindly through traffic to protect their livelihood. This raises many questions. If road accidents are so alarmingly high, Foodpanda corporate must have noticed, right? And what safety net exists for these workers? We presented this question directly to the riders we interviewed.
अक्सर जब डिलीवरी करनी होती है और अक्सर रैश ड्राइविंग वगैरह भी होती है, अगर आपको कोई एक्सीडेंट हो जाए तो क्या फूड पांडा आपकी इंश्योरेंस वगैरह इस तरह के खर्चे उठाता है?
जी फूड पांडा ने जो उनसे एक्सीडेंटली इंश्योरेंस रखा हुआ है, ठीक है। बेसिकली वो 7 लाख तक जो उनसे ना हॉस्पिटलिटी खर्चा उठाती है।
With multiple videos showcasing riders waiting outside in the blistering heat for their orders, barred from stepping inside, serious questions have been raised about the structural mistreatment they endure from restaurants. Our survey revealed that 66.7% of riders admit to facing frequent mistreatment from restaurant owners and staff.
मसला हमें ये फेस करना पड़ता है कि अब जब हम किसी रेस्टोरेंट पर ऑर्डर पिकअप करने के लिए जाते हैं, जब हम अंदर जाते हैं तो वो हमें अंदर कहते हैं कि अलाउ नहीं है, कैमरे देख रहे हैं, आपका अंदर अलाउ नहीं आना। वो हमें कहते हैं कि आप बाहर वेट करें। तो हम बाहर जब वेट कर रहे होते हैं, ना हमारे पास बाहर बैठने का कोई रेस्ट एरिया बना हुआ है, हम कभी फुटपाथ पर बैठे होते हैं, कभी हम कहाँ बैठे होते हैं, वेट कर रहे होते हैं। और बाहर भी जब बैठते हैं तो गार्ड कहता है भाई यहाँ नहीं बैठो, इधर नहीं बैठो, साइड में चले जाओ। होना तो ये चाहिए कि रेस्टोरेंट पर जब हम ऑर्डर पिकअप करने जाते हैं तो हमारे लिए अंदर बैठने की जगह होनी चाहिए। अगर अंदर नहीं बैठना अलाउ, अगर खाना वगैरह खा रहे हैं गेस्ट, तो हमारे लिए कहीं बाहर प्रॉपर एक शेल्टर रेस्ट एरिया होना चाहिए, क्योंकि गर्मी इतनी होती है कराची में, और वहाँ पर हमारे लिए एक पानी का कूलर भी मुहैया करना चाहिए।
Furthermore, 68.4% stated that restaurant delays directly cause them to be late for their deliveries.
The operational math for these workers simply no longer adds up. A staggering 100% of riders who participated in our survey said that Foodpanda must immediately increase the per order delivery charges. With historical spikes in petrol prices from being around 250 rupees per litre to now in August being around 325 rupees per litre, with the cost of general affordability and basic living has become a struggle for people now. To ground our data in a broader macroeconomic context, we sat down with an economist to analyze our findings and talk about Foodpanda riders and their economic exploitation. What is economic exploitation and what can it look like?
Kind of various form of manifestations, if you want to put it that way. In general, that's what exploitation looks like. So if a person is not very clear and sure of the working hours, the working requirement, the job that is required from him, so the employer can make him do whatever he wants, whatever that is needed at that working time. Like being a foreign registration. So exploitation is a very big term, but it can be of various forms. Oh, anything else? The point that you raise is a very valid one in one way. Number one, in economics, if you want to talk about technical terms, one of the terms that we use for the wages or the salaries is a nominal wage. Nominal wage is measured, it's denominated in the current price level. And when you adjust it for the inflation, that nominal salary or nominal wage turns into a real wage, which would mean if the wages are rising, let's say about annually by 10%, but on the other hand, the inflation is increasing by 20%, the purchasing power of the person would be actually less than what it was before. So that is exactly what is the case for a lot of people, a lot of salary earned class in Pakistan at the moment. Even if they're earning 70 to 80,000 for 10 hours a day, They end up having a salary of around about 30,000 every single day. That makes them 1,000 rupees per day. And if you convert that 1,000 rupee per day into dollar terms, it nearly ends up at somewhere about $3.50 or $3.7 a day. $3.7 a day actually means that they formally qualify to be a poor person in Pakistan. For Pakistan, the official definition of a poor person is someone who earns $3.5 a day. They actually technically qualify to be a poor person. And on top of it, the current socioeconomic situation and the dependency ratio in Pakistan is that one person has to feed at least 5.65 to 6 person in a family. So someone who's earning $3.5 a day has to spread that money over at least 5 to 6 people also. That makes that total household as a poor household. God forbid anything happens with such a, because they're very vulnerable to be, this kind of households are very vulnerable to become, come under the poverty line, because they are just there on the margin. God forbid anything happens to them in terms of, anyone falls sick in the family, if any of their physical or permanent assets, they are lost. For example, a permanent asset could be their bikes, a permanent asset could be the house, a permanent asset could be any form of, they have some sort of electronics in their home. God forbid anything bad happens to that particular household, it easily comes down under the poverty line. And Pakistan has a poverty rate of approximately 38%. So total population, out of the total population, 38% are poor people in Pakistan. God forbid anything happened to such a poor vulnerable household, which barely is just on the margin of earning $3.7 a day. When it comes out down at $3.5, it perfectly qualify for being a poor household. So that is what they have. And when it comes to the decent working environment, the international organizations, the International Labour Organization, they make it a point that the labor who are working in the peripheries and who are working in the, who are working as a labor, they should be working in a decent environment where they are less prone to environmental hazards or accidents and service practice. These workers are very prone to accidents because they are traveling, riding every single day. They're prone to any sorts of, traumas also, because they are working in the excruciating heat every single day. And they get an accident of sellers if any of the member, if any bad rider passes away or faces a massive injury. Typically, time we all know is nothing. It may not be even able to meet expenses that person may need in such traumatic conditions at hospitals in today's time period. Secondly, when you talked about the exploitation is the penalization that happens to these Foodpanda riders in case of some sort of delays in the delivery time. So they get suspended, their account can get suspended, they may not get the upcoming orders, they end up earning a little less on a particular day, for some hours. That needs to be fixed at one point or the other, because considering the road conditions of Pakistan, something would happen in these 2.5 months when there's a massive monsoon spells, anyone can be late. So the margins of meeting that the deliveries and the orders, if they fail to pull up that, they get penalized also. Secondly, scams, because they are working through internet. They do not, because they are not the ones who are taking the orders. So they are the order comes to them through the internet. There's an application in between the demand, the consumers and the suppliers. So they are just the intermediary factor between the user and consumer. Scams can happen, internet glitches can happen. So there are multiple things that should be taken into account, because ultimately at the end of the day, the Foodpanda riders, they are the ones who get penalized. They are working in obviously already very unsafe conditions, because there are late night deliveries also. They are far away deliveries also. So exploitation is obviously in the form of low wages, in the form of unsafe working environment. They are prone to a lot of physical and emotional and all sorts of hazards also. They are prone to any sorts of internet glitches, because in the case of Pakistan, we do get internet connections, and the mobile network can be they do face some of the technical issues also. So that is how exploitation, and that is how all of these things should be taken into account.
Are some solutions Foodpanda can implement to protect their
riders? Proper training for them. The training in the sense, because if somebody at work is a Foodpanda rider, he's going to stay Foodpanda rider for the rest of his life, unless and until there are scopes of progression in the career. So that's one way to look at it. They need to be trained. They need to be trained how to deal with people, how to deal with customers, the soft skills that we call them, right? And then some sort of groomings also. So that's a part of the professional development at a very beginning stage. Number two, in the contracts, the number of working hours should be specified, should be mentioned, right? And they should, when there are cases of penalization, there should be cases of rewards also. We should get rewards at, giving some better services, at faster services, and or, all sorts of incentives should be mentioned. Number three, in case of the hazard that they face every single time that they are on the roads, because they are always on the road, they need to be, there should be proper coverage of the medical insurances. The bikes that they get, they should be upgraded. They should be of certain standards, and the Foodpanda should make sure if they can't afford to do it themselves, then the Foodpanda company should be there to help them get to the proper vehicles or the proper support that they need in that case. Number two, one way to look at it, it may not be possible, but that's one way to do it, that this should get subsidized. Some part of the fuel cost should be covered by the company also. Maybe a very little percentage, but should be. That's a part of helping them, encouraging them in their work. They should be supported in terms of having some better internet facilities so that they can catch up. Secondly, in terms of giving them some decent working environment, the restaurants that are registered on websites, they should give Foodpanda riders some space to sit, some sort of a resting place also during the time when they come to pick up and fetch the orders from them. So to ensure some sort of a decent working environment, there's some sort of a soft solutions that can be given.
The job of rider is vital in the aspect of its flexible nature and the autonomy provided to riders, co-joined with their decent income. However, studies show that circumstances under which the job is performed might generate an impact on physical and mental well-being of the riders. Being highly exposed to heavy traffic, unforeseen weather, road conditions, and time restrictions creates immense pressure and a strong sense of anxiety for the riders. Often, if not always, the vehicle used is a motorbike, which typically does not provide any shelter against weather and is more prone to accidents or in some cases forced snatching. Through our findings with interviews and surveys, we discovered that in any such instances, Foodpanda penalizes its employees when they delay an order even if the rider were not at fault. Studies on delivery and platform work show that riders face stress, exhaustion, safety threats, and uncertainty due to the demanding work arrangements and limited facilities.
A research assessed the operational, occupational, and organizational dynamics of the job, which could have diverse effects on the rider's mental and physical health. Occupational well-being is connected to the emotional input of the riders. Delivery riders not only perform logistical tasks but also manage their emotions like exhaustion, frustration, and happiness, all while earning a livelihood for their families. With this emotional management, operational challenges could result in diverse effects on their mental health. Operational challenges refer to the obstacles or difficulties in operating their tasks. For example, infrastructural barriers include poor road conditions, traffic jams, and long distances between delivery points, which could result in stress and exhaustion. Long and late hour deliveries can cause sleep deprivation and exhaustion. Delivering to a new and unknown location can create uncertainty and stress. Ultimately, late deliveries result in negative ratings, which could affect their wages, which are already constrained due to the high petrol prices and maintenance costs.
Furthermore, another major challenge is occupational well-being, which is connected to algorithm control. Such managements have strict work requirements, ranking system, punishment systems, and work rules. The riders may accept it as a flexible option, but during situations like policy flexibilities, dispute solving, or any technical support, and access to authority is not present due to the digital management. Algorithmic control on riders through apps instead of proper human managers creates a severe regime known as algorithmic despotism by research. In 2019, an article was published by Kathleen et al. About strict automatic algorithmic control of platform food delivery riders and the impact it has. The article found out companies use algorithms to direct and dictate labor. Companies have gamified earnings of riders using variable pricing models. They have created an atmosphere of constant surveillance via customer ratings and arbitrary authority with unclear algorithmic updates. However, the reality of algorithmic despotism is that riders of such platforms are treated with rigid shifts, time immobility, early access penalties, and unpaid labor. Foodpanda does not refund the riders in case of fake orders and scams on the app. Furthermore, the app has rigid schedules, shifts time with constant orders that the rider has to accept. A work environment like this can stress and exhaust the riders.
However, research also states that the effect on mental well-being due to these challenges affects a rider depending on their emotional strengths. But it does create a larger possibility. A study states that the emotions of anxiety and stress coexist with positive emotions like autonomy, ambition, and social support, which ultimately reduces a greater negative impact. Hence, ultimately, the diverse effects could be reduced through support and encouraging treatment by the company, restaurants, and the customers. We reached out to a psychologist to discuss this in depth.
Given that most delivery riders endure shifts exceeding 12 hours to secure a living wage, what mental health challenges do they face from overwork? Furthermore, how are they psychologically impacted by the gamified systems that impose algorithmic penalties for delays beyond their control?
This topic for your research, I think this is very important to understand how this may impact the mental health of workers working under such conditions. So I would start with mentioning that firstly, for any work, any kind of work, your work security or financial security is very important in terms of because your security of work also is aligned with the kind of time that you give it given to your work. So you're saying that generally the food writers are working for more than 12 hours to meet the minimum financial needs, or that may be their first job, or that may be their main job, and in order to get the minimum fair wage, they have to work a certain number of hours a day to get it. It can be very what you can say, they are at a high psychological risk for sure, because keeping up with that pressure of maintaining the targets, and like you said, with all those structural factors which are out of their control, they are going to face a lot of issues psychologically, because working under pressure all the time is definitely going to lead to psychological burnout, meaning that they would not be able to cope up with the amount of mental pressure that they're dealing with every day. So this is naturally going to impact a lot of other aspects of their life. It can impact their sleep, it can impact their healthy routine, or they will definitely struggle to keep a work-life balance, because when you do have these strict hours to maintain for your work, meeting up with all the conditions, like you said, could mean that they are going to not keep up a healthy routine of life, not being able to maintain their meals, or maybe this could impact their appetite, sleep, and of course the family life as well. So definitely the structure of work itself is not healthy. It's like what I understand from the nature of work, it definitely shows that this is going to impact their day-to-day life very badly if it is not checked, if it goes unchecked. Like, we need to, if a person is working more than 40 hours a week, that is itself overworking, that itself is overwork. And if that work itself is very demanding, has a lot of it includes a lot of targets, like you said, that could mean that it is all going to pile up and build up, and going to it doesn't seem like a sustainable pattern.
How does having a strict algorithmic control over human traditional managers affect the riders mentally?
Actually, I think it's a very valid question here, because the whole the work is monitored by a system where it can be very dehumanizing as well. Because as in a working situation, you as it may appear very objective, which could be some elements of the structure of work may appear very straightforward and can be very easy to follow, and in a way to manage the whole idea or the business plan or model that it shows, taking taking the order, delivering. It can be that way. It seems very fine. Like, you don't have to engage. That's the best use of technology, I would say. But then again, when when the workers themselves are humans, you need to have a human help support as well. So such matters, so employee matters must have, or some issues must need to be addressed in a human way. Like, if there should be some warnings, or maybe if it's there has to be some way of negotiation and a way of talk between the rider and the system. There should be a customer support, or there should be employee support service within the system, where the employee can reach out to the system, maybe, or some help within the system, or an employee can get in touch with all that they may need as an employee. or as a worker for that system. So yeah, I guess it can help a lot, because this way, from a psychological point of view, this may ensure the person working, that they have a chance to negotiate, and they have some sense of control over their work as well. Because when there is a system where it is automated, you probably feel as a person that you probably do not have control over the work. So as an employee, I would like to have this power in my, I should have the power to negotiate with my, with the company or with the system I'm working for. I should have that sense of what do you say, alignment with work. So I'm not doing it as a disposable work. It's not a disposable job, right? I'm giving my time and energy. I'm day and I'm doing this day by day, or on daily basis I'm engaged with this work. I need some way to communicate how much I'm doing, good or bad. So giving just a star may not be the most rightful way to retain the worker. Probably they may also need some support in terms of um, some human touch. I would say yes, it definitely helps the person working, that yeah, somebody is there to understand their problems, guide them, support them in situations where they probably have safety concerns or financial concerns, or are at risk of work. Could be so many things that a person would like to get clarification for. So yeah, of course, I guess this is a gap. I would see it as that.
While working on solutions for the app to protect the riders, we came up with rest stations or proper infrastructure outside the restaurants, since Foodpanda riders are not allowed to enter the premises. This way, they could rest outside while they wait for their order. And receiving their orders would become less chaotic and would reduce the chance of them getting late to deliver. While filming this documentary, a breakthrough occurred on August 4th when Foodpanda launched its first dedicated rest station at Gold Crest Mall, Lahore. Promising more facilities like these to come. This marks a change in Foodpanda attitude with the riders and creates a more trusting relationship. This marks a change in Foodpanda attitude with the riders and creates a more trusting relationship. It shows that Foodpanda has been listening to the demands of the riders and is planning to cater them in the future. But as of now, the issues still persist. However, our field surveys, interviews, and deep dives into online rider forums reveal that this is just a drop in the ocean. Restaurants play a huge role in this issue, so we decided to reach out to a famous restaurant. However, we could not schedule an interview due to convenience issues.
In China, research showed that when riders work for long hours and long road exposure with strict deadlines and algorithmic control, it has a high risk of them developing health issues and injuries. It is very common for us to see Foodpanda riders speeding through the streets, right? While the platform will set a strict deadline and the riders have to deliver the food within the time limit. Whether there's delays due to traffic, restaurants, or other convenience issues, the app will then penalize the riders and they can lose a lot of time and money for simply being late. Hence, road accidents or injuries among riders are very common. Our survey shows a similar result, where about 68.4% of riders have reported frequently seeing fellow riders getting into road accidents. Moreover, a recent study showed that driving all day long for over 12 hours with little to no break has led to 83.33% riders in Lahore developing low back pain. Having a very little break between their shifts is simply inhumane. Most riders work over 12 hours, usually that is 2 shifts, every day to make an adequate income to cover their expenses and take care of their families. Due to lack of proper road infrastructure in Pakistan, riders prefer to use scooters or bikes that are easier to maintain and navigate the city with. These bikes expose riders of road hazards while the platform pressure makes everything worse. Due to prolonged riding in fixed postures, repeated bending and twisting, carrying heavy bags and spending long hours in congested traffic, Foodpanda riders develop health issues and injuries.
Exploitation of Foodpanda riders has become a harsh reality for many riders since there is no legal protection for employees in Pakistan. The petrol prices have skyrocketed in the past few months alone, and the inflated prices of staple food items has proven to be a burden on every household. This project is not only to identify the issues that these riders face, but propose solutions that can possibly actually help them in real life. In the US, gig workers are treated as independent contractors rather than traditional employees, so no overtime pay or minimum wage applies to them. Similarly, in Pakistan's legal system, gig workers are not recognized and there is no legal protection of their rights. Foodpanda riders are gig workers, hence they are being easily economically exploited by the company.
In Pakistan, delivery platforms like Foodpanda have established their presence and have become an integral part of millions of Pakistani homes and businesses. They've established a market presence and a customer base, so increasing delivery charges per order will have a very minimal effect on the business financially. In fact, through our interviews, we found out that customers are willing to pay more if they know that the money will directly benefit the Foodpanda riders. However, customers do tip a lot, and instead of delivery charges, riders can rely on tips by customers if the customers start tipping more appropriately. Another way that Foodpanda can help the riders is a suggestion we got in our interview with the economist Fatma Malik for Foodpanda to give incentives to their riders, either on petrol or vehicle maintenance. Foodpanda also runs a grocery-based business called Panda Mart. Foodpanda can give grocery-based incentives to these riders to help them financially. Legal and proper contracts and training sessions of the riders should be held. We looked into the matter and found out that Foodpanda does hold training sessions for their riders. And it may not be very easy to change the structure of the entire app in one day. So we came up with some suggestions that Foodpanda can implement over time. Foodpanda can hire their dedicated riders with perfect customer ratings as their full-time employees. From our surveys and our interviews, we found out that most riders are anyways working full-time with Foodpanda just to earn decent amount of money. Riders usually work for 12 hours with 2 shifts. If Foodpanda hires their dedicated riders and trains them like their traditional employees with proper pay, overtime pay, good insurance plans, and trains them like their traditional employees, the reality of a lot of these riders can change. Unlike traditional employees, there is no room for growth at work or promotion for these riders. Every job must have opportunities for growth to have motivated employees. Hiring some riders as full-time employees will also help Foodpanda with having trusted workers on the duty and reduce chances of customer complaints. This will, in return, help to improve the brand's image. Our data reveals a deeply troubling system of economic exploitation, where riders endure 10-plus-hour workdays without basic benefits like paid holidays, fuel incentives, or vehicle maintenance. The platform's highly limited safety net just offers 2 lakh rupees for hospitalization, medical expenses, and for disability protection. And in the absolute worst-case scenario, the maximum death benefit assigned to the rider's family is just capped at 5 lakh rupees. In our documentary, we dove deep into the severe toll of these rigid financial limits and unethical corporate practices take on the physical and mental well-being of the riders. To ensure a fair and balanced investigation, we are now reaching out to Foodpanda to demand answers to these pressing allegations. We tried to find email addresses of corporate Foodpanda and their employees. However, every company has a strict HR policy on the interviews that their employees can give, which is probably why we did not get a response back or our emails didn't go through.
Is one of the most widely used applications in Pakistan, serving as an essential part of daily household chores. Whether it's delivering weekly groceries or satisfying midnight cravings, the platform has undeniably made life more convenient for its consumers. However, this ease does not always extend to the Foodpanda riders themselves. To explore this dynamic, we conducted a study to determine how well the general public understands the daily struggles of these riders and how they are typically treated. Our research involved conducting in-person interviews with teenagers and young adults alongside distributing an online survey link to gauge public awareness regarding the challenges these riders face on a daily basis.
Hello everyone, I am Ayesha Shakir, a journalism intern at Irteqaa, and today I will be interviewing Maryam, an avid user of Foodpanda. So my first question for you is, what is your name and what is your age?
I am Maryam and I'm 17 years old.
So, how often do you use Foodpanda?
I use it once or twice a week.
I choose Foodpanda relatively frequently. I order around thrice a week and I choose it over cooking or dining out, as I believe that I'm a person who likes to stay in their comfort zone, and I'd rather just use an app to order food where there are multiple restaurants in just one application.
How would you describe your interactions with Foodpanda riders whenever you make an order?
अच्छी है, काफ़ी कम है. मैं हर तरह के राइडर से मिल चुकी हूँ, which means disabled ones, old ones as well, and the young ones.
So, how much do you generally tip a Foodpanda rider?
Usually do 100.
Okay, so my next question is कि अगर आपको पता हो कि अगर कोई राइडर्स की जिस तरह एडिशनल चार्जेस होते हैं, जिस तरह उन्होंने मेंटेनेंस करनी होती है और खर्चा वगैरह चलाना होता है, तो अगर इसके बारे में आप सबको पता हो, would you extra tip the riders? Would you tip them extra?
Yes, of course, because I am the one who is using their service, so why not?
Do you believe tipping should remain optional, or should these riders receive sufficient compensation from delivery platforms without depending on customer tips?
I believe both should be an option. Tipping should also remain optional, but they're, at the end of the day, they're employees who are doing their job, so it's their right that they need to be compensated by their companies, and they need to be compensated for the fuel prices that they're rising or they're decreasing or whatever, or they should be compensated when there's harsh weather conditions and all. They should be compensated for mobile data and all. It's pretty costly, and we don't realize that. So for their well-being and for their sufficiency, we should keep tipping and compensation by the company, both options.
So, what changes do you think Foodpanda as a corporation or app should make for the riders so that they have more comfortable delivery?
The riders are usually seen wait करते हुए और roads पे और restaurants के आगे भी हम सबको नज़र आ ही जाते हैं, तो I feel like the waiting time should be less for them.
Do you think the convenience offered by food delivery platforms sometimes comes at the expense of riders' well-being?
Yes, I do believe it does, since from our perspective, we're getting whatever we want, and we have all the application, all the different companies and brands in just one application. We can track the status of our order. But if you look at it through a rider's perspective, if we as customers want our food to be delivered in 30 minutes, the riders have this burden that they have to deliver it in under 30 minutes. Doesn't matter what the weather conditions are. Doesn't matter if it's a harsh weather condition or whether there's traffic. We are unfortunately not that. We don't have that sympathy for them, and from their perspective, I believe that they can often be stressed out because of that or burdened.
कि अक्सर अगर कोई delay आ जाए deliveries में, तो customers they behave very badly with riders.
I think it's very disrespectful and arrogant for a person to do that.
आपने कभी notice किया है जब भी कोई rider delivery कर रहा हो, they appear physically exhausted?
Yes, sometimes I have seen that.
Do you believe their working hours are justified?
I'm not really aware about their working hours, so I don't think I can say a lot.
Would you still prefer Foodpanda after knowing that riders are mistreated? They are not allowed to wait in the restaurants. They are not given any compensation. They receive a fraction of the delivery fees, and most importantly, they are not even controlled by direct supervisors. They are controlled by apps. So would you still prefer Foodpanda knowing the treatment of the riders that are making the deliveries possible?
अभी तक तो I'm not very aware of the alternatives of Foodpanda, and even if I am, there aren't very known apps. So yes, Foodpanda would still be my priority, but I would say that I would start to use it less.
Moreover, our question at the end of the survey asked respondents what they would do in a hypothetical situation where they were made in charge of policy for riders at Foodpanda. We got many interesting responses, but they just indicated that participants did understand the issues associated with Foodpanda riders, but they lacked a proper understanding of policy making and the responsibility that Foodpanda actually has for the working conditions of Foodpanda riders.
To raise awareness on the matter and urge people to treat Foodpanda riders better, we created an Instagram post that was seen and interacted by thousands of people on Irteqaa's page.
every day, on every street, at any time, we see thousands of riders wandering around for our convenience. The convenience which comes at the cost of someone's dignity and comfort. Our few clicks and a delivered meal becomes a race against traffic, rain, floods, and a positive risk of accident. However, how often do we see these struggles underneath our food and comfort? Because beneath each of our deliveries, there's a person stumbling from door to door to earn for his kids, to pay for his rent. It's not a mere icon on our phones nor a number of algorithms. The question is not whether we should stop ordering or not. Rather, it's whether or not our convenience and the company's monopoly should ride on the dignity and safety of the riders. The solution is not to end their dented chain of income, but to look beyond the helmet. The next time you order, just be human enough to extend a hand of empathy and humanity. Even a glass of water, a kind smile, or a tip is enough to make them feel seen and heard. The next time you order, just know that someone took that journey for you.